Today we are going to see our next unit, that is data types in a Python. So before going to start our second unit, first we have to see what we have seen inside previous units. We have seen that features or characteristics of Python. Then we have seen installation and working with Python. Then the structure of a Python program, writing simple Python program, executing Python program using command line argument or ideal graphics window, and also we have seen the executing of a Python program from a system prompt. Then we have seen Python virtual machine. Then we have seen the different identifiers and keywords that are used for doing a Python programming. And last we have seen the different types of operators, that is arithmetic, relational, logical, boolean, assignment, bitwise, membership and identity operator. And last we have seen the operator precedence and associativity. Now today we have to see our second unit, that is a data types in a Python. Now what is the data types? So we have already written one Python program to add two numbers and execute it. We have seen that program. Now let us write the program once again. Suppose we have taken a new file. Inside that you are writing our first Python program, that is addition of two numbers. So first we have to give within a comment section the name of the program, that is Python program to add two numbers. So for that we are declaring some variables. Suppose we have declared one variable a equal to 10, then b equal to 20 and c equal to a plus b. Now the addition of that a and b is stored inside a variable c. Now we have to display the value that has been stored inside a variable c, that is sum equal to c. Here we have displayed the value of a c here. So when we compile that program by using a Python compiler, it converts the program source code into bytecode instructions. This bytecode is then converted into machine code by the use of interpreter that is available inside a Python virtual machine, that is PVM. And finally the machine code is executed by the processor in our computer, and the resultant output will be displayed. Now we have to see how the output will be displayed. Now save that program inside your home directory where we have created your Python source directory, that is my Python programs. Open that, where you have to give the name of the file, suppose sum.py or add.py. Now save that by using a Python files, save type as OK. Now we have get the output as a sum equal to 30. So when we compile this program using Python compiler, it converts the Python source code into bytecode instructions, and this bytecode instruction is then converted into machine code, and it is executed by the interpreter that is available inside a Python virtual machine. So finally the machine code is then executed by a processor that is available in our computer, and the result is produced on your system or a screen. So we have get the output in this way, sum equal to 30. So we have observed that the first line in the program, if you see the program, the first line in the program, it starts with a hash symbol. This is called the comment line. That sentence is written and that start with a hash symbol, that is considered as a comment line. So comment is used to describe the features of a program. Means by writing a comment you can tell the what is the program or what is the feature of that program, so that we can write the comment by using a or starting with a hash symbol. So when we write a program, we may write some sentences to create functions or classes, etc. So in our program all these things should be described using a comments. So where to start the class, from where to start a function, what is the features of that function. So before starting that class or function, we can write the comment so that you have remember that or you have to notify what is the content or what is the feature of that functions or a class. You can describe it by writing a comments before writing a class or functions. So it means comment increases the readability, that is understandability. Means by writing a comments you can understand that what is the code written below in the functions, class or your program. So this is highly needed when we working on a project. So within a project we can mostly use the comments, so because there will be a very complex code or number of functions, classes will be written there, and it is impossible for the programmer, if you want to debug or if you want to modify your code, comment will help us where that function or class will be written. So in a Python there are two types of comments. The first, that is a single line comment, and another is a multi-line comment. So there are two types of comments that are used in a Python. So first we have to see the single line comment. What is a single line comment? This comment start with a hash symbol. So within our program we have written there hash symbol. After that we have written one statement, program to add two numbers. So for that statement we have given a comment by using a hash symbol. So this is called as a single line comment. Suppose here we have given the comment in this way by using a single line. What is the A? A is a variable having value as 10. Means we have declared here variable A equal to 10, and A is a variable having value as a 10. Now another way we can give a single line comment, hash. Suppose B is variable having value as a 10. So in this way we can give the single line comments. Suppose that what is the features of that statement or what that statement you tells. Here we can display the value of C. So by writing that statements you can notify to the user or the programmer what is the content of that statement or the program. So by writing a single line comment, it is useful to mention the entire line till end should be treated as a comment by writing a hash symbol. So in this way we can give a single line comment in our program. Now we have to see a multi-line comments. So when we want to mark several lines as a comment, then writing symbol in the beginning of every line is a tedious job. So you don't write every time as a hash symbol on every line. So instead of that, if you are using a multi-line comments in your program, you can write in this way. So for writing a multi-line comments in your program, you can use a triple double quote or triple single quote like that. So here you can give the multi-line comment in this way, and after that it will be closed by a triple double quote or a triple single quote. So in this way we can write a multi-line comments. Now check here, you get the output only as the sum equal to 30. So comments are not executed. So Python program to add two numbers, that we have given the comment here within a 2 lines. So for commenting, or if you want to give the comment on a multiple lines, you can write or start with a triple double quote and end with a triple double quote. So another way is there to write a multi-line comment. Either you can also use a triple single quote and it must be end with a triple single quote. Look at here. Now see the output, that comments will not be executed. So in this way there will be two types of comments, that is a multi-line comments and single line comments. So single line comments start with hash symbol, and you can write a multi-line comment start with a triple single quote or triple double quotes. So next is that how Python sees the variable. Here we have declared the two variables, a equal to 10 and b equal to 20. So in a programming languages we have already seen like C, Java and many other languages that we have seen, the concept of variable is connected to the memory location. Means when you declare a variable, when you assign a value for that variable, that value will be stored inside a memory. At a specific memory location, that value of a variable will be stored. That we have seen inside a previous languages like C, Java or any other languages. So in all languages, a variable is imagined as a storage box. Variable is imagined as a storage box which can store some value. Suppose we write a statement in this way, a equal to 10. Suppose if you return a value a equal to 10, some memory is allocated with a variable name a, and the value 10 is stored inside that variable. So if you declared a equal to 10, a is a variable, some value will be associated with that is a 10, that will be stored in a variable name. So here we can imagine the memory as a box or container that store the value. Now in this way, for every variable we create, there will be a new box is created with the variable name to store the value. So if you change the value of variable, then the box will updated with a new value. Suppose for example, instead of writing a equal to 10, if you given a equal to 15, the value of the a will be changed. Instead of 10, the value of a will be changed. So a will be stored inside a memory and the value will be stored inside a box. If you change the value of that variable, it will be changed. So in this way we can store the variables inside a Python. So here we have declared two variables, a equal to 15, b equal to 20. Now here we have no need to write a data type. So here you don't give the int a equal to 10, b equal to 20 in this way. You don't give the a equal to 10, b equal to 20. See that here invalid syntax is there. We have no need to declare the variables. You have no need to declare the data type while declaring the variables, because Python is a dynamically typed language. Means what? When we declare a variable and if you assign some value for that variable, by considering the type of that value, the variable type will be decided. So here a equal to 15 means we have stored an integer value inside a variable a. So the type of a becomes integer. Here b equal to 20, the type of b becomes a integer. Now if you want to see the type of a and b, we can print that, print type of a. Look at here. You can determine the type of that variable. Here you get the output inside a delimiter class int. So a is of type as a integer. A is a type of a integer. If you want to store the value of 15.45 inside a variable a, now determine the class type of a variable, it becomes a float. Because here value of a equal to 15.45 is a type of a float. So in this way we get the output as a, you can determine the type of a variable by using a type method. By using a type method you can determine the type of a variable. So this is the way of determining the type of values stored inside a variable or a object. So here a equal to 15.45, so the class of a becomes a float. Now if you store the value a equal to, suppose if you declared a equal to Sham. Now what is the type of a? The type of a becomes str here. Means it is a type of a string. So a is of type as a string here. So in this way you can store the value of a variable and determine the type of that variable. So here a equal to Sham, we have declared or we have assigned a string value for variable a. Now determine the class of a. The class of a is a str, so it is of type as a string data type. So a becomes n, a becomes a string. Now if you return here a equal to, suppose a equal to x, a equal to x will be there, b equal to x will be there. Now determine the type of b here, type of b equal to, now b also becomes a string. So how it is, Python does not contain a data type char. So if you return a single character or multiple character, it will considered as a string. It will be written either by using a single quote or double quote, that we have to see inside a data type. You can write a string in a Python as a single quote or double quote. So str is a data type in a Python for a string value. For a string value in a Python there is a str data type. So this is the way of determining the type of a variable and determining the type of variable, the value assigned for a specific variable. So Python is a dynamically typed language and we have no need to declare the data type while declaring the object or a variable. Now we have to see the data types in a Python. Which are the data types that are used? Which are the data types that are used in a Python? So first we have to see what is a data type. Data type represents the type of data stored into variable or a memory. So the data types which are already available in a Python language are called as built-in data types. So we have seen inside a C language there are number of data types, int is there, float is there, char is there. So these data types are considered as a built-in data types, and the data types which are created by the programmers are called as a user-defined data type. So similarly inside a C we have seen that structure is a user-defined data type. Now we have to see what are the built-in data types that are available in a Python. So some built-in data types that are available in a Python, there are 5 data types available in a Python. The first, that is a none type. First data type, that is a none type. Second is a numeric type. Some numeric types of data types are there. Then third is a sequences. Then fourth is there sets are there, set data type is there, and the last one, that is mappings. So we have seen some different than the other programming languages. Like there are 5 types of data types that are considered as built-in data types that are available in a Python. So first is a none type, second is a numeric types, third is a sequences, fourth is a sets, and 5 is a mapping. So these are the 5 types of data types that are available in a Python. Now we have to see the first data type, that is a none type. So in a Python, none data type represents the object that does not contain any value. If the object that does not contain any value, the type of that object is considered as a none type. So in a languages like Java, it is called as a null object. Str yes equal to. If you don't want to store the value, that you can write it as a null. So object yes contains a value as a null. Or if you declared int a equal to null, means what? We have not stored any value inside that variable. Similarly here, if you don't assign a value, or if you don't store any value inside a variable, the type of that variable will be considered as a none type. So but as similar to that, in a Java we are using a null there, and inside a Python it is called as a none object. So this is the first data type, that is a none. So in a Python program, maximum only one none object will be provided. We cannot give the multiple none objects in a Python. So one of the uses of the none is that it is used inside a function as a default value of the argument. Means what? When you write a function, if there will be no any arguments, you can write here none in this. When you declare or define a function in a Python, if the function does not have any arguments, that is the default arguments are there, at that time you can write a none. So this is the use of a none type inside a Python. So when calling function, if no value is passed, then the default value will be taken as a none. So when you call a function and there will be no arguments or no value will be passed for that calling functions, then within a function definition it will consider that there will be a default value as a none. So if some value are passed to the function, then that value is used by the functions. So in Boolean expressions, none data type represents a false. If you return none, means that it will consider as a false. So this is the use of none data type, and that will mostly used within our programs when you write a default functions that does not contain any arguments. At that time none data type will be used. Now we have to see another type, that is numeric types. So there will be a number of numeric data types in a Python. Now we have to see what are the numeric data types are there. So we have already seen that within a C there will be a numeric data type like int, float, like that. These are the data types that are considered as the numeric data types. So similarly inside a Python, the numeric type represents three types. So which are that? The first is there, first is the integer. First is the int there, second is a float, and third is a complex. So these are the three types of numeric types in a Python. So there are three numeric data types used in a Python. First is the integer. For that we can use int. Int data type is there. Then second is a float, and third is a complex. Now we have to see the first, that is the int data type. So the int data type represents an integer number. Int data type represents the integer number. So integer number is a number without any decimal point or a fraction part. Suppose for example if you return 200, 300, 350, minus 50, 0, 999, 958, like that. So these are the numbers that does not contain the decimal point or a fraction point. Such numbers are considered as a integer data type. So these numbers are considered as a integer numbers. Now we have, let us see, to store integer number inside a variable a. Suppose for example if you taken a variable a is there, we want to store an integer number. Suppose minus 54 we have stored there, minus 54 is stored there. Now what is that? So here a is called as a int type variable, since it is storing a minus 54. So which is an integer value. So the type of a becomes an integer. So in a Python there is no limit for a integer data type. So it can store very large integer numbers conventionally. So there will be the no limits as like a C language, like -32767 and -32768. So this is the limit for any integer inside a C. But in a Python there will be no limit for a integer variable in a Python. Now if you declare another integer b equal to 34. So what is that? 34 is a number and that does not contain any decimal or fraction part. So it becomes a number and the conventionally the type of b becomes as a integer. Now we want to make the addition or print the sum of that two numbers. Sum equal to a plus b. Look at here. You get the output as a -20. So -54 and plus 34. You get the output as a -20. Now we have to see the second data type, that is a float. So what is a float data type? The float data type represents the floating point numbers. The float data type represents the floating point numbers. A floating point number is a number that contains decimal points. So here the decimal part inside a number is there and such numbers are called as the floating point numbers. So for example 0.15 is there, -3.5, 0.00123 like that. So those numbers that contains the decimal or fraction part, such numbers are called as a float numbers and these are considered as a float data type. Suppose for example if you declared a variable like that, suppose a equal to -54.50 and here b equal to 34.6. Now both the variable a and b becomes a type of a float. If you take the sum of that, you get the output in this way. You also get the output within the same type, that is a float type. So this is the way of, suppose another way is there. If you declared a 54.00, look at here, 34.00. So what is the type of a and b here? A is a float, b is a float there, because there will be a fraction or decimal fraction part will be there like that. Then we get the output as a -20.0. So instead of 20 you also get the 20.0. So this is the way of declaring a float variable. So this is the second numeric type, that is a float type. The third numeric type, that is a complex. So complex number is a number that is written in the form of, suppose for example a plus bj, or you can write a plus bj. So what is that a, bj? So here a represents the real part. So here a is a real part of that number. B represents imaginary part, capital J or small j. After the B indicate the square root value of a -1. A is a real part, B is an imaginary part, and minus capital J or small j. Capital J or small j after the B represent the square root value of a -1. So the parts A, so the suffix J or capital J, that will indicate the square root value of a -1. So A and B contains integers or floats. Suppose for example if you declared like that, if you declared a variable in this way, suppose A equal to, for example A equal to 3 plus 5, 3 plus 5 j, 3 plus 5 j will be there. Now that will becomes 3 is real part, 5 is a imaginary part, and j is the square root value of that. J is the square root value of -1. Now we have to write a program there. Suppose complex data type C1 and C2 we have taken there. Now we have to assign the value for that variable. C1 equal to, suppose if you taken the a and b as a float, C1 equal to 2.5 plus 2.5j. Now here b is taken here 3.0 plus 0.5j. So real and imaginary part you can take either as an integer or a float. So C1 equal to 2.5 plus 2.5j and C2 equal to 3.0 plus 0.5j. Now we want to make the addition of that two and stored inside a third complex data type C3 equal to C1 plus C2. Now the addition of that two complex numbers will be stored inside a variable C3. Now C3 will becomes a complex type. C3 becomes a complex type. Now display the addition of complex numbers equal to. Now we have to display the value of C3 here. Let us see. You get the output as a 5.5 plus 3j. 5.5 plus 3j. Look at here. 2.5 plus 0.5. That becomes a 3. That becomes a 3 here. 2.5j plus 0.5j. It becomes a 3. It becomes a 3j. And 2.5 plus 3.5, it becomes a 5.5. So here we have to get the output as a 5.5 plus 3j. This is the way you can make or use the complex number in our program. So before moving to the next data type, we have to see the representation of binary, then octal and hexadecimal numbers. Representation of binary, octal and hexadecimal numbers. So we have seen that a binary number should be written by prefixing 0 and capital B or small b will be used there. Binary numbers are represented either by using a 0 and b, or we can also represent 0 and small b. 0 and small b. 0 and small b. So these are the way of representing a binary number. Means what? While writing a number, how it will be determined? It is a binary number by writing a 0b or 0 small b. So this is the way of representing a binary number. For example, if you want to return, for example, if you want to write a binary number, it should be start with 0b or 0 capital B. Suppose you want to write 110 110 like that. So this is a binary number. This is a binary number. Or you can write the same number as a 0 small b 110 110. So if you want to write a binary number 110 110 in a Python, it should be prefixed by a 0 small b or 0 capital B. So this is the way of representing a binary number. If you want to write octal number, you can represent that octal number by 0 and capital O, that is 0 and capital O. Or another way is there, 0 and small o, 0 and small o. So this is the way of representing a octal number. So if you want to write octal number, or if you want to represent octal number in a Python, you can write, or you can prefix that number by 0 o or 0 small o. For example, if you want to write a octal number, it should be prefixed with 0 o, 0 capital O or 0 small o. For example, 0 o, you want to represent an octal number, suppose 145. 145 it is octal number. If you want to represent in a Python, it should prefix with a 0 o, or you can also represent 0 small o, 145. So if you want to represent octal number in a Python, it should prefix with 0 o or 0 small o. So here Python consider that the 145 written is an octal number. Here 110 is considered as a binary number because it is prefixed with a 0b, and here octal number should prefix with a 0 o, capital or small o. Now we have to see the third hexadecimal numbers, how it will be represented in a Python. So obviously hexadecimal numbers are represented by a 0 capital X or 0 small x. So this is the way of representing hexadecimal number in a Python, 0x and 0 small x. Suppose for example, if you want to represent hexadecimal numbers in a Python, for example 0 small x or capital X will be there, 0 capital X, then 11 FB91. So this is a hexadecimal number. Or another way is there, 0 small x, same number you can represent in this way, FB91. In a Python, if you want to use it, it should prefix with a 0x or 0 capital X. So this is the way of representing octal, hexadecimal and binary numbers in a Python. Now we have to see converting data types. Converting the data types. How you can convert one data type into another type. So depending upon the type of data, Python internally assumes the data type of a variable. So sometimes programmer want to convert one data type into another type. So this is called as a type conversion. This is possible by mentioning data type with parenthesis. Suppose you want to convert integer type, it should be written as int. Here you can write the value. That value will becomes an integer. Suppose for example, if you declared x equal to 13.45. Now we want to convert that within integer, int of x. Now x becomes a integer. See how it is. By within our program, if you declared suppose x equal to 13.46, you want to convert that within an integer, int of x. Now x is a type of float, convert into a integer. So here what is the type of x? X is a float data type. X is type of a float. We want to convert that x into integer. We can write that x inside a parenthesis. Now see, if you print the value of x here, the value of x here is a 13.45. Suppose we have stored that inside a variable a and print the value of a here. Now see, the value of a becomes a integer. So in this way we can change or we can convert one data type into another data type. So this is called as a type conversion. Suppose if you return that 13.99, see here, we get only the integer part of that number. So this is the way of converting data type explicitly, that is one type to another type. Now we have to see another example, that is conversion of float numbers. Conversion into a float number. Suppose we have given x equal to 13. Now we want to convert that x inside a float. Now check the value of x. Here it becomes a float. Not only single 13, 13.0 is there. So we have converted integer value x equal to 13 by using this method. Float, within parenthesis we have passed the integer value. It will convert into float stored in a variable a, and if you display the value of a, we get the value as a float value. So this is the way of converting integer to float. Now we have to see the conversion of a complex numbers. Suppose for example, if you taken a equal to 10 and here b equal to suppose minus 6. Now convert that within a, suppose c equal to complex of a comma b, complex of a comma b. Now here we have converted that two integer numbers 10 and minus 6. So 10 is a real part becomes here and b becomes the imaginary part. So if you display the value of c here, print c. Now look at here, it becomes a complex number. Look at here, a equal to 10, b equal to minus 6, c equal to complex a comma b. A is a real part, b is the imaginary part. So convert that within a complex stored in a variable c, and you get the output as a 10 minus 6j in this. If you change the value here, okay, we have removed minus there. Now it becomes a 10 plus 6j. Look at here, 10 plus 6j. So in this way we can convert a float number into integer, integer to a float. We can also convert the integer numbers into a complex number, and also we can, suppose if you declare 10.4, 6.4 or 6.5 will be there. Now convert that float numbers into complex number like that, 10.4 plus 6.5j. So this is the way of converting data types explicitly. So here we have converted integer into float, float into integer, integer into complex, and float into complex. So these are the number of ways of converting data types explicitly. Now we have to see one program that convert number from octal, binary and hexadecimal number into a decimal number system. So first, within a comment section we can write the title of your program. So title of program is there, Python program to convert into decimal number system. So Python program to convert binary, octal and hexadecimal into decimal number system. We have to take one number, that is n1 equal to. n1 equal to, suppose we want to take as octal number, so it should prefix 0 small o or capital O. Suppose you have taken 145, that is a octal number will be there. Then suppose we have taken another number, suppose it is a binary number, so it should prefix by 0b or 0 small b. 110 110. Now we have to take third number, n3 equal to, we are taking a hexadecimal number, so it should prefix 0x, 0 small x or 0 capital X. Now we are taking 1c2, this is a hexadecimal number. Now we want to convert that within a integer, so it becomes decimal. It becomes a decimal number system having base as a 10. So we want to convert that number n equal to, store that number inside a variable n, convert into integer, means it becomes a decimal. So convert n1 into int, it becomes a integer. So we can display print, suppose octal, which number is there, octal 17, so octal 145 is taken here. Now print octal 145 equal to n. So we have converted octal to decimal here, octal to decimal here. So octal 145 in a decimal, it is a 101. Suppose if we change that, octal 17 is there. Now convert that, octal 17 equal to 15. So octal 17 equal to, in a decimal it becomes a 15. In a decimal it becomes a 15. So we have converted octal 17 into decimal, we get the output as a 50. Similarly, we want to take another number. We want to convert n2. What is that n2? n2 is a binary number, that is 110 110. We want to convert that within a integer, that is a decimal, stored in a variable n. Now binary number here, binary 10110 equal to, what is that? We get the output in a decimal, that is 54. The binary of 54 is 110 110. If you take 110 110 in a binary, you can convert it in a decimal. So we can use the type int there. Int within parenthesis you can pass any type of value as a binary, octal or hexadecimal. Now see the third type, third conversion of n3. Here n3 we have taken as a hexadecimal. Now int n3 converted into a decimal and stored in a variable n. Now here hexadecimal, which is that hexadecimal number? Here hexadecimal number 1c2 we have taken. Hexadecimal 1c2 equal to, okay, hexadecimal 1c2 equal to 450. So if you taken that numbers in octal, binary or hexadecimal, you can convert that within a decimal number system in this. Now another is there, to convert decimal number systems. If you want to convert that number into decimal numbers into binary, octal and hexadecimal, opposite to that, Python program to convert decimal numbers Python program to convert decimal numbers into binary, octal and hexadecimal system. Look at here. Python program to convert decimal numbers into binary, octal and hexadecimal number system. Now for that we are taking some numbers. Suppose for example we have taken a equal to 10. A equal to 10. Now b equal to binary of a. If you print that, print value of b here, what we get? We get the value inside a binary. Look at here. The value we have taken as a decimal number system, that is a 10. Convert that within a binary by using this method bin. Here we have passed a value a. The converted binary value of a decimal number is stored in a variable b, and we have displayed the result here. We get the value as a 0b1010, because that 1010 is a binary number, so it should prefix by a 0b. Another way, 45 is there. Convert in a binary. We get the output 101101. In this 45 will be converted there. Now we have one example here. 54 is there. We are taking 54 is there. Convert that. Look at here, 110110. We get the output in a binary, that is 110110. So this is the way of conversion of a decimal to a binary. Now another example, if you want to convert that number into a hexadecimal, convert into octal. So for that OCT method will be used. Convert value of a equal to 54. Suppose there will be, we have taken another value b equal to suppose 145 is taken there, 145. Now convert that, or if you taken a decimal number as a 15, we have seen that example, b equal to 15, convert that b suppose here we are taking x is there, b has already used here, b, here x is there. Now convert the x equal to 15. Now 15 is a decimal number. Convert that x into octal and stored in a variable b. Now the value of b will be there. Within a octal we get the output as a 70. Look at here. We get the output as a 17 here. We get the output as a 70. So octal 70. 0 means the 17 is an octal number. Similarly, another variable gives z equal to. Similarly, b equal to, here we have taken z. B equal to, we want to convert that within a hexadecimal. So hex is there. Hex of b. Look at here. We get the output as a octal 1C2. So 1C2, this is a hexadecimal number, and we have converted that. We have converted 450 into hexadecimal. So this is the way of converting decimal numbers into binary, octal and hexadecimal number. Okay. Today we stop here.